I think this Belgium team is getting a bit written off a bit too quickly, in my personal opinion. Yes, it's come off the back of their golden generation, which maybe didn't succeed in accomplishing something historic for Belgium in terms of winning a trophy with some of the world-class individuals they had. When you think of Hazard, the defence of Kompany, Alderweireld and Vertonghen, Lukaku, De Bruyne, who are still there, to be fair. De Bruyne and Lukaku at the tail end of their careers. Maybe Lukaku not so much, but Kevin De Bruyne getting up into an age now where you will probably start seeing a decline. Vertonghen is still in the squad, but at what cost? And Axel Witsel, the remnants of that golden era for Belgium. And I think that, mixed with some of the youth and vibrancy that's now in this squad and the athleticism is quite excitable, I think, if you're a Belgium fan. I don't think Belgium are going to win the Euros by any stretch, but do I think they'll provide a bit of an encouraging tournament going forward? Do I think they've got enough in them to produce a quarter-final, semi-final run? Yeah, I do. I think they're going to surprise a few people. I think they've got a lot of qualities within their team, and we're going to go over them now. First, with the attacking shape. So in their original stages of build-up, you'll see one of two things. You'll see either a 2-4-4, or you'll see Vermeeren pushing up into this wide 10 position, Openda coming in as a central striker, and De Bruyne dropping in as the right 10. And Onana will play the single pivot. Now, there's a gap between the back five and the front five, as you see teams typically do nowadays. And it's very well balanced with the players that fit in these positions. Technical base in the middle with Onana, Wout and De Bast being able to play through. A good sweeper keeper and playmaking goalkeeper in Casteels that can help beat that press. Wide build-up to try and outmaneuver an opponent's press, if I just sort that out. And if you've watched my channel before, you know how much I love a wider build-up structure. It makes it easier to play out of an opponent's press and find players in space, whether that's out wide if they decide to leave the wide men free, or there's a player in the centre that can become free due to the outnumbering and cause a defender to have to commit to him, where you can then use that to your advantage by getting some of your pacey players in behind, of which Belgium have a ton. There's Openda, there's Bakayoko, there's Doku who came off the bench, and there's a lot of vibrancy and as I said, just youthful energy about this team, and Lukaku's a great player to exploit space in behind with his powerful running ability. So they've got some good technicians to be able to play out of these situations. As I said, Casteels is comfortable knocking the ball into the fullback if that area becomes free, if the opposition are defending quite narrow, to progress the play and use this as an opportunity to get the ball forward and to play it to the more attacking players in the team. And as a result, that'll push Belgium further up, and this is what it looks like when it happens. And you do see the supporting centre midfielder drop in alongside Onana in these attacking phases at the start, and Vermeeren I thought had a fantastic game the other night against Montenegro. You think maybe Tielemans comes in and replaces that role full times, but it's good to know they've got a young option in Vermeeren, who I haven't seen a lot of at club level, but has got a fantastic reputation, and who knows if this competition could be the springboard for him. But in the game against Montenegro, Belgium did favour the left-hand side with their attacking play, but what they will do is typically pick a side to isolate a wide player on the other side. So in this case, we've got Bakayoko, who started the game against Montenegro, and he was the 1v1 dribbling threat that could attack space either in behind or against a fullback. So the idea was to get him in as much space on that right-hand side as humanly possible. Other times, it's Jeremy Doku playing on that side or on the left-hand side, who, as we know as Premier League football fans, has a fantastic 1v1 dribbling ability. And in building up on the left-hand side, you'll see Openda playing as the regular striker. You'll see Carrasco coming into this left half space. And as a result, you'll see De Kuiper, or whoever the left-back is, playing as the left winger in this formation. De Bast coming into the left centre-back position. Wout in the central centre-back. And Meunier dropping in a little bit more. And you'll see it a bit lopsided as Onana comes a little bit deeper to receive the ball from the back three. Vermeeren will push into a sort of left-back position. De Bruyne comes a bit shorter to play the ball, and then you'll see Openda typically hang around this right centre-back area on this side of the pitch, and that's obviously where Belgium look to build up. And the rotations that the players in these areas cause is killer to certain teams. De Bruyne can show for it up here, or maybe for a pass in between the lines, diagonally to receive it, and then either get his pass away to Openda running through, or to switch it over to Bakayoko, who will have a lot more space as the opposition defence is pulled in narrow to try and prevent this overload from becoming an issue. Having De Bruyne being that link to transfer the ball from side to side is huge. His playmaking ability is still the best in the world, and he will usually be that last pass to penetrate whether that's one of the attacking players with the build-up on this left-hand side that could maybe create space elsewhere. Let's say if the defender follows the run of Openda into this area, then De Bruyne can find this ball into De Kuipers, who can put a cross in for Openda to get on the end of, or Lukaku, who is obviously the better aerial threat. But Openda does get a number of headed goals. As much as he hasn't got the size and physical frame of Lukaku, he does have a leap on him, like a salmon, like a Belgian salmon. And it'll be interesting to see what side Doku plays on, because he can play on the right, but he's a general left-sided attacker. They have Trossard, who you think will start above the two players that they already had in Carrasco and Bakayoko potentially. And I'm just going to swap those out because they did come on in the Montenegro game, just to paint another picture of what could happen. So there we go, Trossard and Doku came on. Now, it is worth noting that there were more substitutions that were made at half-time. Belgium made all of their subs at half-time. De Bruyne went off, Amadou Onana went off, a couple of the defenders went off. So it did change it completely, and it meant that where they were building up on the left-hand side in the first half, they favoured the right-hand side because you had Doku out in this left-hand side. But it's where they see the balance with him and Trossard, because Trossard isn't that pacey wide player that's going to get in behind and cause issues against a fullback one-on-one. His qualities are his movement, his positional sense, and his ability to link play, which is why I think you will see him coming into these positions the way that Carrasco did, combined with him and Kevin De Bruyne's passing and playmaking from central areas, with Vermeer and Tielemans, to have that technical possession-based quality to create chances, whether that's getting De Kuiper here down the left-hand side, whether that's getting an Openda or Lukaku through in the central areas, or switching the ball over to Doku, who, with his fast pace and that level of acceleration, can attack fullbacks one-on-one and create opportunities from here. And it's just getting those wide players into these positions for the pullback, for the ball across the edge of the area, for the striker to finish, and they do it fantastically. And having Kevin De Bruyne in this team is brilliant with these pacey players on the transition. So if I just push this team a bit further back, so having De Bruyne in this position, who plays as the striker off the ball when he receives it, will be able to turn, look forward and look for the run of Openda, who will find space in between the opposition's defence or whatever their rest defence looks like, and get in behind or either side. Then you'll have the penetrative run of Doku and Bakayoko if he's on the pitch to find. And with his passing ability, that is going to be a nightmare for teams to defend against on the transition, and that could be a massive part of Belgium's tactics. Whether they're comfortable sitting deep for large periods of the game remains to be seen, and whether they have the defensive quality and discipline to hold out. But having that as a counter-attacking threat is huge. And it just shows how central Kevin De Bruyne is to everything that's going to happen for Belgium from an attacking sense, because of his playmaking abilities, his ability to find the run of the pacey players around him, whether that's be through that short pass down his side or the direct switch over, is going to catch teams out. But that's the in-possession play for Belgium. What about off the ball? So when Belgium press off the ball, they press man-to-man, they press high, and they try and win the ball back as quick as possible and get De Bruyne on the ball as quickly as possible to create opportunities from that transition. So let's say if the ball's being played back to the goalkeeper, then you'll see Openda switch into this position, then you'll see Trossard coming into this area. Vermeer typically pushes on a bit further than Amadou Onana to try and stop the player in that pivot from receiving the ball. Wout Faes is also capable of jumping out of his back line to press the player that's in space if a team's playing with two attacking midfielders, which happens a lot nowadays. And he is an aggressor, Wout Faes. His decision making is very erratic, but he does have that bit of maverick in him from a defensive point of view. Even if you try to go out wide, again, press still happens. Meunier will press the player close here to stop him from receiving the early pass, or whether that's Meunier or whether that's Castagna playing at right back. And as I say, they've had great success in that Montenegro game, winning the ball in the Montenegro defensive areas to then transition it into an attacking chance, time and time again, really. And again, with that youthful energy to press, it's going to be such a big quality of theirs to have. The issue will be when Romelu Lukaku comes back into the team. He doesn't press, he doesn't have that spring in his step the way that Openda does. It could be a bit detrimental to that entire system, but it's whether the trade-up with Lukaku could be worth it. I guess we'll see. And of course you always have the issues with Lukaku's big game finishing ability, which never seems to work how you'd plan. And when they drop back into a defensive shape, as I just do it now, you'll see Belgium in either a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-2-2 with Vermeer dropping in alongside Onana and De Bruyne as the striker, as I was just saying. Onana typically drops in to make use of the space in between the line. Vermeer pushes on a little bit more. You'll also get the wide players dropping in if the fullback is overlapping. So let's just say if the defence has been pulled narrow because of the players that they're marking, and this player tries to make an overlapping run, then then Doku will be alert and cover that space. Same on the other side. If this guy makes a run, Trossard will cover the overlapping run to the outside and form it into a back five if need be. So the man marking still exists well within this Belgium squad when they get pushed further back. I'm not the biggest fan of man marking at club level, but again, at international football, I think it's a quality that is underutilised, because at club level, there's so much repetition with the way teams attack that they almost know where their teammates are on the pitch without ever really having to panic under pressure. Whereas you don't have that same type of comfort at international level. They have to look up, they have to try and look for the man in space and play it around to him. Where if the man marking and high press is at it and it's at full level, they're going to lose the ball in those situations, the attacking team. And Belgium, I think, have got it pretty sussed on how they implement it. Lack a lot of quality in defence, it has to be said. You know, that centre-back pairing has downgraded a lot from the era of Vincent Kompany, Alderweireld and Vertonghen, as much as Vertonghen is still there. But what they lack in the experience and the proper defensive quality they make up for in the aggression and the athleticism that their players offer. And I think they'll surprise a few players. I think they've got a very easy group to get through, top of it. And then who knows who they end up playing in the knockout stages. But I think they'll give teams a game, surprisingly. I think people expected Belgium to revert back into what they were, and it's not going to be like that, I don't think. I think this is a very strong group of young players, and I think they're going to use this tournament as a potential springboard going forward by just producing good performances and really finding out about the quality of some of these young players. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Cheers for watching. In a bit, lads.